Am I the a-hole for not telling my girlfriend about my savings? Original post. I, 20 male, have been working since I was 14. I grew up very poor and watched my dad work 2 jobs to make ends meet. My first job was at Publix, working 15 to 20, maybe 25 hours a week, but my dad made sure I saved all my money unless I wanted a new video game or a pair of shoes, but he still wouldn't let me splurge like I wanted. He paid for all my food and phone bill until he passed away when I was 16. I started working in a restaurant and the manager gave me a lot of hours. I'd clock in at 9 a.m. as a prep cook and then clock in at 4 p.m. as a busser. I wouldn't clock out until like 11 to 12 p.m. I was making at least $800 a week during the summer as a 16-year-old. It was great. I saved up about $3,000 that whole summer. Then when I'd leave school, I'd clock in from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. and work the rest of my shift under the table. I saved up at least $5,000 through the whole school year. I was always very frugal with money and never cared for the nicer clothes. I still dressed nice, but no desire to wear designer clothes. Well, now that I work full-time for the past 2 to 3 years, I have roughly $30,000, more or less. I started dating my girlfriend 2 years ago, and I always say I'm broke when I have less than $500 in my checking account. I'm not necessarily saving up for anything because I live with my sister and she doesn't make me pay any bills, except for the light bills / my phone plan and the stuff that I want. My girlfriend doesn't have as good as money management as I do. Whenever she gets sad, she likes to retail therapy. I've never understood why, but her parents spoiled her growing up, so I figured that plays a part. But oh well, everyone has their own ways of dealing with the sadness, and that's hers. Well, she was asking if I could send her like $200 to $300 for something, won't disclose what, and I told her to send it to herself through my bank. I didn't think she'd go through my whole bank app and click on my savings, but she saw I had $2,500 in my checking and went to my savings. She came to me and showed me my phone and was like, "We're rich. You must have been selling drugs or something, haha." I did find it funny, but I tried to tell her easy that we're not spending that. And she then thought about it and looked at the transactions over the years and added it all up and was like, "You never mentioned anything about this account." I said, "Because that money isn't wealth. It's a savings in case anything bad happens." Now, I will say I'm not stingy with money. I just don't spend money on things I don't need. I still take my girlfriend out to eat every week and buy her flowers. I make sure she feels her worth, which is more than that money I have saved. We just look at money differently. If anything were to ever happen to her, I'd obviously care for her and take money out of that account for her. But she started talking about how she doesn't need to work if I have that type of money. I explained that money isn't wealth once again, and $30,000 can be gone in the blink of an eye. She wasn't having it. I told her we can start a savings account together that will strictly be for trips, activities, etc. She said I already have the money for that. I responded, "This is why I didn't mention the money to you, because you'd want to spend it all in a matter of a month." She broke down crying, saying I didn't trust her and I don't love her. I plan on marrying this woman and love her to death, but I don't want to jeopardize something I worked years on to save and be comfortable financially. I don't use credit cards or anything yet, and I am in no debt. I do see where she's coming from, and I could see where I'm in the wrong by not disclosing this with her, but I knew I'd have to start from ground zero again. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I'll be honest, OP. She's still pretty immature and clearly has no concept of the value of money. I know you say you want to marry this girl, but bro, you are 20 years old. There's a freaking big world out there to explore. If this is her stance on money and she refuses to educate herself on the value of money, I wouldn't be sticking around and letting her leech her hard work away. $30,000 is not a lot of money, and you are certainly not rich. Don't know where you live, but in my city, that would only be an 8-month cushion if tragedy strikes. If you are both still living at home, try sitting down with her and draw up a budget for what it would cost to live in your own place together. Get some help, as there are expenses you don't even know about at this point. Just see how far your savings would really go. Good on you for being so great with your money so far. Keep it up. I was OP. At 20 years old, tragedy did strike. I became permanently disabled. The savings I had worked so hard for went to pay off my car and some of the medical bills that never stopped accumulating. I'm now 37 and I'll never have significant savings again because I'll never go more than a couple of months without having major surgery. OP, you never know what might happen. Hopefully nothing like what happened to me. Very few people get sick like this. But a major accident, a house fire, you just never know. Even my dog's surgery cost thousands of dollars, but it saved his life. That money is a safety net that gives you the ability to choose what to do in a horrible situation. Will you save your dog or put him down? Without the money, you have to put him down. When you're in an accident, will you buy a new car or will you struggle with public transportation for a while? If you get laid off, will you take the first job you're offered or wait for something that actually seems like a good fit? That money is the cushion that allows you to choose your next move carefully, instead of being forced into whatever decision is cheapest. Make no mistake, eventually something bad happens to everyone. Obviously, everyone hopes it will be a minor bad thing. But the more prepared you can be, the easier it is to bounce back. Not the a-hole. Never had a more red flag than "we are rich." No, honey, that's nowhere near rich, and not your money whatsoever. From her immaturity, she's legal, right? Oh yes, she's 20 and I'm 20. She just gets everything she wants from her parents and never really worked for anything really. While me, on the other hand, has had to work for everything I want/need. If she thinks $30,000 is rich, she doesn't understand money, and clearly is still a child, not an adult. $30K is a down payment for a $150,000 house, which in most markets is literally a hole in the ground. That won't even buy you a new car in cash. It's awesome you have it saved, and it's stupendous for someone your age, but you ain't rich. I would put a good chunk into some investments, maybe even get a financial advisor that could get your money working for you. The lack of money experience isn't surprising, almost to be expected. He is way more financially mature than 99% of 20 years old in the US. The red flag is a girlfriend immediately laying claim to half a dude's money, when not a dime of it is hers. But she isn't laying claim to half of it. She suggested that she no longer needs to work, not that she and Opie can now retire together. In her mind, that money's all hers. Edit/mini update. People commenting saying I should offer rent to my sister because of the money I have saved up. I agree, but she won't let me pay rent. Her and husband are well off due to him being a VP at a wedding company with government contracts, and my sister is retired military working as a chairwoman of her charity. They don't want me to pay rent and focus on my future. Also, to the comments questioning why I've only $30K saved up, I pay for most of my big purchases outright, as I don't like acquiring debt. On a different note, I will be taking my girlfriend out to eat on Saturday per request, as she wants to talk about everything that transpired, so we'll update most likely on Sunday or Monday. Thank you everyone for your advice. It's greatly appreciated, and I will be taking it all into consideration. Now for the full update. Good morning to all you lovely gents and ladies. I'm up early this morning because it is a stressful night and I couldn't get comfortable to save my life. My girlfriend and I decided that we're going to take a break. I was trying to not let the outside influences influence me, but I noticed she ordered a lot more food than she usually does, and didn't even take a bite of some of it. Her excuse was, "You're fine. It was only $150 for both of us." That was my eye-opener. So I paid, with a generous tip, but I saw a lot of comments saying she already spent that money in her head, or she will drain it slowly but surely until it's all gone. I hate that money was the reason for us breaking up, but a lot of people were saying facts I couldn't ignore. Her whole attitude changed with me and felt like she was Elon Musk's wife. I told her at the table after we ate, "I still love you and will always care about you, but you need to grow up a little bit before we get back together." She started crying and left. I then received messages from her mother asking if I'm seeing somebody else, because this is out of the blue for someone like me. I don't know if she's saying I shouldn't be able to leave her daughter rather than her daughter is supposed to leave me, but I didn't even respond back. I don't care for the drama, nor for the arguing which is happening with my girlfriend. Sorry, ex-girlfriend. I was told I'm just like my dad, a bum, a sorry loser, etc. I could keep going, lol. I'm none of those things. I might be a little bit interesting, but I haven't even really responded to my ex with anything but "yes ma'am" or "you're right." I don't feel like I'm the bad guy because I'm not fighting for a relationship that is now seen as dollar signs. But to everyone who said I was the a-hole, I see where you're coming from, and I learned to be more transparent about not being broke rather than not spending that money. I just think it's rude to say, "I have the money, I just don't want to spend it." I'll think of ways to say that without saying that. Now, to everyone who said I should give my sister rent money, I swear I'm not selfish and just being greedy with my money. Whenever her kids and I go to Walmart, I tend to always get them a toy. Last week I bought them a Lego set. Probably not a good idea because they're 1 and 3 years old, but hey, as long as they're having fun and don't swallow them, we're good. But I buy everyone things. Even if they're not the most expensive, they're all sentimental. I just bought my brother-in-law and I matching Team USA basketball jerseys because we're both hyped for the Olympics. They just don't want me to pay rent, and I'm not going to argue with them about that, but I still buy them stuff as well to make up for that. To everyone who said leave her, y'all were right. I hate to say it, but money is all some can see when they have seen it. She was blinded by a make-believe life of luxury I don't have to offer. I'm not saying she's a gold digger or a bad person, just immature and young. I'm also going to take the advice of putting it in a different account I can earn interest on to keep up with inflation. I thank everyone for their advice and prayers. It was much needed, and I hope to everyone who has a nice penny saved up to keep grinding and scratching your way to the top. I hope to see y'all there one day. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not trusting my husband after he depleted our savings to pay for his dog's surgery? My mother-in-law asked my husband a year and a half ago to watch over her dog for her when she went to surgery and rehab following surgery. She's a healer. I apparently didn't have any say in it because I didn't even know until the dog was at my house. I had a problem with this from the beginning. The dog was completely untrained. There were multiple times that the dog would jump up on our table and steal food out of the kids' plates and growl at you when you corrected her. She went after my cats multiple times. She poops in the house constantly, no matter how often she was outside. She would do zoomies around the yard for easily 40 minutes, come inside and immediately squat to poop. And she nipped me and my husband's faces. Not the kids, oddly enough. Hard enough to draw blood to. If you pulled away before she got you, you could hear her teeth smashing against each other. I didn't want the dog and expressed it hundreds of times. But he refused to get rid of her because of his mother, despite his mother having been out of rehab for over a month at that point. Well, his mom told us 3 months ago that she would be taking this dog back in April. But 2 weeks ago, she comes to our house and, surprise, surprise, she has a new dog. She told us, well, you've had her for so long that I figured you could just keep her. I just found out I was pregnant a month prior to this. I told my husband there was no way we were keeping this dog. I never even wanted a dog here. He eventually said okay, and he found a nice couple who owned a giant farm to take her for an overnight to see if it was a good fit 3 days ago. We got a call the very next morning saying that the dog was hit by a car. He rushed us to go get her and bring her to the emergency vet. She needed amputation, surgery on her front paw, surgery on her pelvis, metal plates put in, etc., etc. The total for the surgeries was almost $13,000. They told us prior to doing any of the work that they had a healer rescue who was willing to take her if we couldn't afford the surgeries. I go back out to the car at this point because I was feeling nauseous from not eating anything and being pregnant. He comes out like a half hour later and tells me that it paid $700 to $800 towards the cost, our savings, and open an animal care credit card to cover the rest, which has 26% interest if you don't pay the cost back in full in 6 months. Now he's saying he can't get rid of her because she has been through too much and she's my friend. I'm so wildly repulsed by this that I can't even look at him the same anymore. This is a divorce territory to me. All of our savings are now gone, and we are going to be looking at that because of this 26% interest credit card he opened. And now he expects me to deal with carrying the dog around and squatting around the yard for her to go to the bathroom when I already have hypertension from pregnancy and I have been deemed high risk. I told him I don't think I can stay with him after this. I do not trust him at all anymore. There were options. They had a healer rescue willing to take the dog and cover the cost. But he instead threw us into debt over a dog that he told me he was getting rid of and I'm all set. He said I'm an a-hole for not seeing his point on this. I do see his point. He loves the dog obviously. But we are pregnant. And he just depleted our savings over a dog that bites faces. And I don't think I want to be with him anymore. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm a dog lover, but this dog seems to be putting you and your kids at risk. I'm wondering if he didn't ask his mother for the dog and used the guise of, we're taking care of it while she's recovering. Not the a-hole. also a dog lover, which is why when I moved in with my partner, we had an adult conversation about getting one, which breed fit our lifestyle and timing for us to be in the right place in life to properly care for one. I cannot imagine just coming home one day with an animal and telling my partner just deal with it, especially when you have young children in the home. That would have been divorce territory. Using the savings and opening the credit card without even discussing it is beyond. I'm a dog and cat lover too, but if a grown animal is a biter and food aggressive and is impossible to house train, out he goes. I'd take him to a no-kill animal shelter and let them deal with him. But depleting the savings account and going into debt over a sick or injured dog where there are alternatives is insane. One has bills, a mortgage I assume, and growing kids. This man is a child when it comes to adult decisions. If they have college accounts for the kids, I see him depleting them on a whim. He is an a-hole. It would be kinder to euthanize an animal that is that badly hurt, and he certainly had no right to use your savings and take on debt without consulting you. Plenty of reasons to divorce him. And if it was fixable and that rescue wanted to take on the costs, then freaking let them deal with it. I love dogs. My girl is my baby. But barring some crazy exception like me trying to break up a dog fight with my hands, or something where she's terrified / in pain and trying to protect herself, if she bit me, she'd be euthanized. I could not, in good faith, pass her along to another home knowing she's capable of that. If I rehomed her and even years later found out she did someone serious harm, I'd never be able to forgive myself. I really resent being lied to and find it unforgivable when someone who loves me does it. Your husband is lied to, deceived, and disregarded you. For me, he's basically looked you in your face and said, I don't care about you and you don't matter. 1. He agreed to take on the dog's care without ever consulting you. 2. He didn't return the dog when he said he would. 3. He's ignored and disregarded how you feel / what you want at every step. 4. He spent every dime of your joint savings without a word to you and took on an additional $5,000 to $6,000 debt at 26% without even a thought of you. How hard would it have been to say 1 sec and walk out to the car to discuss? In your shoes, he'd have told me everything I need to know.